Hey, is Dr. Gibbs. Welcome to the 5:30 Tuesday Live. So our topic for today is, what do hormones have to do with weight gain? So when people start getting interested in losing weight, there are lots of new information and factors that they consider. It's not now just eat calories in, calories out, although that does have something to do with it. But there's, what kind of exercise should I do? Should it be keto? Should it be macros? Even mindset. That's the new thing. And it really is actually kind of mind blowing. Um, but one essential topic that frequently gets overlooked is hormones. So, today I want to spend some time discussing a few of the ways that hormone imbalances can increase weight gain or hinder weight efforts to lose weight. So, it's something you really need to pay attention to. All right, but first, if you're listening to this and you're not a physician, please keep in mind scientific proof is not nearly as black and white as people think. And in order to make treatment decisions for individual people, sometimes we doctors have to consider evidence that's not nearly as black and white as we would like. So, this is not meant to be medical advice, and you should consult your own physician for any medical issues or diagnosis that you may have. All right, so I have spoken in earlier lives on why there's so much needless fear around hormone replacement in perimenopause and menopause, and I'm planning another upcoming episode about that. But for now, let's explore how hormone imbalances can contribute to weight gain even before menopause. All right, number one, stress is a hormonal problem. People don't realize that. So, stress raises your cortisol, breaks down stored energy in your body. Acute stress triggers a surge of glucose and insulin resistance to make sure the glucose feeds to your muscles in your brain. Um, so you can run or fight or whatever, because that's what the way your body perceives stress, as a need for action right then. Um, anyway, if that glucose, that elevated glucose, has nowhere to go, it ends up as fat storage in your body. All right. Stress also raises anxiety because of something called sympathetic tone. So, sympathetic tone is not sympathy, it is the part of your involuntary nervous system that revs you up. It makes you vigilant, it makes you ready for action. And when that gets to be a chronic issue, it's because you basically have adrenaline in your system all the time, and it's just making you have this buzz of anxiety. Um, and that can do a lot of stuff. Um, One of the things that it does is it reduces the quality of your sleep. And when you don't get great sleep, naturally your body goes for increased calorie intake. There are studies that show that, given free choice, people choose 300 or more plus calories per day than if they're not, than if they've slept well. It also makes you make more high sugar, high quick energy food choices. All right. So if cortisol production from stress gets too high, it also steals from the production of the other hormones in your body that aren't essential for immediate survival. Estrogen and testosterone come to mind. And stress messes up your thyroid. It does that in a couple of ways. So, number two is thyroid. So, high cortisol, which comes from chronic stress, reduces the signaling for thyroid hormone production through reducing TSH. And it does this so the signal in your brain, that indicates for more cortisol production, is something called adrenocorticotropic hormone, or ACTH. And the more ACTH your body is making, the less TSH it makes. And TSH, of course, is that signal for making thyroid hormone. So that's one way, by lowering TSH. Stress and high cortisol also pushes us towards conserving our metabolic energy by increasing reverse T3. And if you've listened to any of these lives, you probably have heard me talk about reverse T3, which is a blocker of thyroid function in the nucleus of all your body cells. So T3 being the active form of thyroid hormone, if you have lots and lots of cortisol, then you're making more of what's called reverse T3, and reverse T3 competes with T3 to block your metabolism. The next one is insulin resistance. So stress. So insulin resistance can be a genetic condition in up to 30% of us. So there's that. But the problems that I talked about above can also take someone who does not even have genetic tendencies or insulin resistance and push them over the edge, so to speak, even if you never had weight problems before. Because high cortisol and that surge of cortisol from acute stress or chronic stress pushes you towards insulin resistance. And what it's supposed to do, as I mentioned above, is it's supposed to shunt your glucose towards your muscles. But if your muscles aren't working, if they're not moving, then the muscles can't take up they eventually can't take up any more glucose. And the glucose will go higher and higher in your body because of this insulin resistance. The insulin levels themselves will go higher and higher, and that has bad effects far beyond just raising your glucose. So even if you are not frank diabetic, you're getting lots and lots of negative effects from having elevated insulin levels in your body. All right, so testosterone. Let's talk about testosterone a minute, because testosterone is a steroid hormone that's produced in all humans. It is not just the men's hormone. Yes, men have about 10 times more of it than premenopausal younger women, but even women have 10 times more testosterone than they have of estrogen. And testosterone helps you burn fat, and it's the hormone that's responsible for increased muscle mass, bone density, improves your libido. It's imperative for good health. Testosterone, when you work out, boosts your strength and decreases your body fat. So a woman with normal testosterone is the owner of a lean body with flat, strong abdomen, high energy. So testosterone is really very versatile because it can be converted either to estrogen, which makes you have more female characteristics, or dihydrotestosterone, which has more male characteristics, depending on which enzyme is more active in your body at the time, aromatase or 5-alpha reductase. And as testosterone strengthens our bodies and improves our memory, it also creates an essential sense of well-being, that makes us feel all feisty and alive, regardless of our age. But interestingly, very high estrogen levels can lead back into the brain and reduce testosterone. This is seen very frequently in men with low testosterone. And what happens is you give them testosterone, their body makes it into estrogen, which lowers their normal internal supply of testosterone even more. Estrogens also include oral contraceptive pills and some antidepressants, which takes down people's testosterone. So counterintuitive, right? And then there are xenoestrogens. All right, well, what are those? So these are toxins. So a xenoestrogen is a chemical that's like estrogen that comes from outside our body, pretends to be estrogen, and then comes in and blocks the normal functions of estrogen and drops our levels of estrogen. And when you have exposure to toxins, your risk of weight gain and other diseases from those exposures may be bigger than you realize. So, for example, one xenoestrogen is something called bisphenol A. So that's an additive to plastic. And a survey by the CDC demonstrated that 93% of the population has measurable levels of bisphenol A. in their bodies. And it also is in those thermal grocery store receipts, canned food, and food storage plastic. And it disrupts estrogen, drops the production of estrogen. It also disrupts thyroid and the androgen or testosterone side of the hormones. Um, so endocrine disruptors have really been shown to interfere with the production, transportation, metabolism of most of the hormones. And these are even in beauty products. So I recently heard about a really cool app. It's called Skin Deep. And people don't realize, they're all worried about toxic this and toxic that. But what about the stuff you're putting on your skin? You don't even think about that. So this app is called Skin Deep, and apparently you can scan the ingredients list of a product and it will tell you, is there a xenoestrogen in that or is it a toxic tissue? All right. And so stress also, we're right back to stress again, can significantly reduce testosterone levels in women. Low levels of testosterone can lead to a number of serious conditions, including risk of depression, low sex drive, obesity, osteoporosis. It also causes fatigue and moodiness, which increases your stress even more and your inflammation, and it sabotages your plans for exercise and diet. So it leads to even more fat accumulation. Whereas having testosterone improves your muscle mass when you exercise, which also improves your calorie burn. All right, but elevated testosterone is frequently seen with insulin resistance, that genetic form of insulin resistance, or the stress related insulin resistance. And in that particular situation, which is very, very common, that's what PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome is. In the case of that, it can get converted into the pro inflammatory 4 hydroxyestrone, which is thought to be a promoter of breast cancer in your belly fat. It also gets converted in PCOS to dihydrotestosterone, which can cause acne on your body, back, and upper arms. It can cause facial and body hair, and it can cause loss of head hair. So all of those are seen in PCOS, along with frequently difficulty controlling weight. All right, so let's finally now talk about menopause, because menopause is also characterized by dwindling hormone production, testosterone, and estrogen in women. And the sad part is that most women, especially in the past 20 years, now consider these problems a normal part of the aging process and don't seek out hormone replacement. All right. So, other than hormone replacement, what are some strategies that you can use for achieving and maintaining healthy weight through hormone management? So, what you can do even before you add the hormone replacement. The first thing that you can do is you can eat your protein first to reduce fluctuations in your blood sugar when you eat your meals. Um, and also add more fat that levels out your blood sugar when you eat meals. Of course, there are lots of other diet advice, and it's all over the place as far as that goes. But if you're going to eat protein first. Also, improving your metabolic set point by reducing stress. This can be done in a variety of ways, but there are very, very simple things like, take 2 minutes and do some deep breathing. Take 10 minutes and open a meditation app and just listen to what they say and hold still for a few minutes. Get a coach, get your mindset under control, because a lot of us have this idea that every negative thought in our head is absolutely and positively true. And finding out that was not the case was really a revelation to me, because I've been always the kind of person who's very, very hard on myself, and figuring out that doing that beating myself up, criticizing myself was just making my stress worse and wasn't actually true, and it wasn't actually helping me accomplish more things, was a real revelation. All right, next thing, get more sleep at the right time. So use morning and noontime sunlight. So go outside when the sun comes up. Get some red light from the sun into your face. Um, Go outside for a little while at noon and do something active like walking. Get your circadian rhythm working for you, and then eliminate blue light from your phone and your screens an hour before bedtime. And then, of course, you need to plan 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's 7 hours is an absolute minimum. And then the last thing is that you can do to help your circadian rhythm is to eat your dinner early. Eat while the sun is still up, hopefully. Um, anyway, um, the next thing is weight bearing exercise. So I'm not talking as much about cardio, although cardio does have a place, but strength training 2 to 3 times per week. Do things that build your muscle, do things that get your heart rate up. Um, the more muscle you have, the more glucose you burn, the more weight you're going to lose. Then the last one that I'm going to talk about is something called intermittent fasting or time restricted eating. So a lot of us who have insulin resistance have this idea that we need to just eat every time we're hungry and snack all day long. Um, and this is really not true. And this is true for children as well as adults. Your natural state is to eat a meal and then wait, and then eat a meal and then wait. And if you're having sinking spells between meals that you feel like you need to snack for, that's really a sign that you have a lot of insulin resistance going on and that you need to get your body fat adapted. So intermittent fasting is something that you can do gradually, starting with maybe a 12-hour fast where you stop eating by 8 o'clock and you don't eat breakfast till 8 o'clock in the morning. And then maybe a 13-hour fast where you stop eating by 7, and then so on, and then so on, where you restrict it to where you're now not eating 15 hours of the day, not getting up in the night and having a snack. Anyway, I am planning on breaking each of these topics down in some detail over the next few weeks. So stay tuned and tell your friends. That's it for now. I'm Dana Gibbs. I'm an integrative physician in North Texas. I help people address thyroid and other hormone imbalances. So you can find out more about me and what I do on my website, which is www.danagibbsmd.com. Or if you have a question you'd like me to answer on a live, you can send me an email at drgibbs, drgibbs, at danagibbsmd.com. That's it. Thank you. Have a great evening.